Welcome everybody to another lunch hour webinar by CTC. Today we're going to be talking about Plotter and Exporter and how you can create cleaner exports using your sheets and view filters, using the wildcard searches. So I've had a lot of questions from you in the past, and before we actually jump into this, I'm also watching questions on the webinar recording window over there. So if you have questions while we're in the middle of this, please feel free to jump in and ask them. I do try to watch those as we go. So we have a lot of issues that we've had people ask us about. You know, how do I export sheets in the order that I want from Revit directly? How do I export these sheets without having to do every single sheet or view manually? The number alone sometimes, if you're using an extra tool like the one I'm going to show today, isn't quite enough to filter. So how do we get a little deeper into that filtering process? Sometimes view names might not be consistent enough to actually allow for proper filtering either. Also, many of you have asked for the ability to do revision-specific print sets. I want to print just revisions, sheets with revision number 4 on it, or just revision 1 and 2, and that's it, and have some extra filtering capabilities there. And you've been asking how you can do that. Also, if you're doing this manually in Revit, just regular internal print list management, it sucks. It's no fun. Then having to kind of build up a print set manually in the Revit environment, build your PDF prints or exports or whatever, it's very time consuming. So how do we actually resolve this? Well, the resolution actually comes from a tool that we've written called Plotter and Exporter. It's a tool that's been out for a while. The features we're going to talk about specifically today with this tool is surrounding the wildcard search abilities. This works great for views and sheets. It has base filters that allow you to really kind of narrow your results in the first place, and then some additional filters in the future that you can leverage. With views specifically, you can use things like type and discipline of the views. Any basic parameter in sheets and views can be used to actually run the filtering. So it's a quite well-rounded tool set here for creating nice, powerful filters. And we're going to talk exclusively about those features today. So let's see this thing live. Let's jump into Revit and kind of see how this thing functions. Now, important note about all of our tools all of the time. To get the best possible functionality, you want to make sure you are on the latest build of the tool. We're always trying to, listen to your requests as you add them in, send them in using the request feature options here. In this case with Plotter Exporter, if you go to the top left corner and access the little application menu right here, you'll be able to get access to request a feature. And by all means, use this. If there's something you want, send that in. It goes to our feature management team. We take a look at those on a regular basis and try to make sure we build those features in. And based on your request, that's where today's presentation is coming from. Now, you always want to make sure you go to the About dialog box. Make sure you're on the latest build of the tool set. Again, like I said, so you get all the best functionality possible. As we release updates throughout the year, you'll be able to get them. Also, pay attention to our newsletter, because those also have information about upcoming builds or builds that have just been released for you. All right, let's take a look at the issue real quick right here. I'm going to talk primarily about sheets today, but this also works for views. If I'm going over here and I want to create a PDF print set, I can take my sheets like this, grab all of my sheets that I want to kick out, maybe grab every one of these guys, and just add them across over here to PDFs. So it builds me a big old list of sheets. This works great, except for in some cases. Right? If I put this at the top here, grab my structural sheets, move those all the way to the top, and then scroll to the top and slide them down a little bit right there below the general sheets, right? I can do this, and I can do manual ordering of my sheets. This is most important when I'm over here in my PDFs or hard print processes right here. If I go to my PDF list directly, take a look at this, for example. If I'm creating multiple sheets, I want to make sure I'm probably keeping the pages in the order selected. So whatever I do over here, that sets my sort order. Now here's the problem. If there's all of a sudden an S106 sheet, it's going to either not be added to my list or be added to the very bottom of my list when I do it manually, and then I have to manually move it up to where it's positioned up here. And that's not very convenient. I really want that to be automatically found. So even within this whole configuration here, let me just, I didn't make any settings change. Let me just close this out. Instead of me adding individual manual sheets like this is the tedious way, there's a much more efficient way. Let me take all these sheets and yank them out of here. Let me remove everything. So I have nothing in my PDF print set. In fact, I'm not even going to use my available views and sheets at all for this particular process today. because that is, again, the very manual way of doing this. I'm going to go to my wildcard search library. And like I said, I'm going to focus on sheets down here. Now, I, by default, have one called All Sheets. If I look at the properties of this, it includes, oddly enough, everything. There's a little asterisk right here. This is a little filter for this. It's getting every single sheet, and there's no other filters applied to it. So it's automatically grabbing every sheet in my project, and I could drop it in my PDF print set or my printer plotter print set or whatever. That's not really what I want, though. What I want is general sheets and structural sheets and architectural existing and then demolition and then main architectural sheets. And I have to use more than just the name to create these filters. An example would be my architectural sheet. Let me add a filter for this. At the top, I'm going to create an A* filter right here. What that's going to do is find every architectural sheet in my project. I'm going to call this architectural role, if I can spell, architectural sheets, using A*. I like to put in here some of my search criteria for my name so I have an idea, a little bit of what I'm doing with this. Now, if I do a test on this, it's going to pull up a list of all of my sheets that match that criteria. So look, all my architectural sheets, and if I order this based on the sheet number like it is by default right here, I'm getting a pretty decent list. My problem is that if I just wanted my architectural sheets, because the AD and the AE sheets are also starting with just A, it's going to get them as well. So I have to find a way to filter those out. I don't want these sheets. I just want my primary architectural sheets. There's a couple of ways I could do this. I could go down to the bottom, and I could say, you know what, let's search for anything that maybe, let's see, best possible way would be to not include AD and AE. So I could say sheet number does not begin with AE, and I could also do sheet number does not begin with AD. Now, I could do this. That's kind of a longhand way, in my opinion, to do it, because then if there's any other A sheets that are in there, like AP for architectural presentation or a bunch of others, I could have some issues here because I'm going to run out of search criteria. I've only got 4, so I got to be a little more clever with this. If I do test this, by the way, this should technically, oh, wait a second. Yep, it should. Get rid of those. Hang on. Let's say filter by all. Let's retest this and pull this a little bit wider here. There we go. Oh, it's getting rid of most of them. In this case, it's finding a couple extra things that I really didn't want to find. But let's do a better search anyway. Instead of doing architectural here, let's just do star. Let's get all of our sheets. And what I really want to do is say, find all my sheets with a discipline that equals. Now, I added a particular parameter to my project called sheet discipline. So I can use any parameter that exists in my project. I'm going to say sheet discipline equals, and all of my architectural sheets I set up as architecture. This includes architectural existing, demolition, and my new sheets. But then I also had another parameter here called sheet phase that I added, and I have another parameter associated with that. So if this happens to equal new, or if it's blank, perhaps I could do that as well. When I test this, and I'm also, again, filtering by all, so it grabs both of these properties and uses both of them to give me the proper information. When I test this, I should only get my architectural sheets that are new sheets and no architectural existing, no architectural demolition sheets, no general, no anything else, just the sheets that I really wanted. So that's what I really want to get here. In fact, I'm going to change this now and just call this arc new and give myself, architectural new sheets. That's it. So if I click OK, now I could grab this and I could add this to my PDF print set and just get my architectural new sheets. And the PDF print order will automatically sort sheets based on their sheet number and sheet name, so those will be alphabetically sorted automatically. Let me create a couple more. I'm going to add another one here. This is going to be my all sheets, once again, all sheets. And I want to do, let me use the same naming convention, architectural existing. And I'm going to put in here arc exist, just so I have an idea again of what I was doing. It's getting all sheets. I'm going to go down here and use exactly the same filters. So discipline and let's see here, the phase. And I'm going to do equals, and we're going to do equals again, so they both equal their appropriate thing. In this case, architecture, and in this case, existing. So if I test this, and by the way, I recommend you use this test option frequently. This will give you an idea of what you're actually going to get. So if you think you set your filter up correctly and you get more than you're expecting, then you'll be able to find that out. Now in this case, I'm getting a bit of an issue. Notice I'm getting everything, here, architectural, demo, and existing, that wasn't at all what I wanted. I'm not getting general sheets, which is good, but I am getting architectural and existing sheets. So this is obviously not working for me. The reason why is because by default, the filter is set to any. It's going to use any of the options you put down here to find something. It matches architecture, so it finds it. It matches existing, so it finds it as well. And it adds both of those sets to my print set. Really what I want to do is use both of these, architectural and existing. So I'm going to use all of the search criteria. So it uses this and this at the same time. And when it uses both of those, the sheets have to match everything. They have to match all criteria as opposed to matching just any. And then it's going to find me just the architectural existing sheets. So now, as I pull this down here, you can see I'm getting one architectural demo because maybe that sheet probably has an incorrect property set on it. But I'm getting all architectural existing sheets here. And any sheet that matches existing, and that demo sheet obviously has an improper set parameter value on it. I should go back and correct that. But I'm going to go ahead and OK this and save my settings for that one. So now I've got those two. Let me create one more. I'm going to use a very generic type filter here, just a very basic filter. I just want my general sheets, G star. I've only got one sheet like this, but I'm going to go ahead and include it anyway, just because I want to have it automatically select that for me. So including all sheets, when I test this, I should just get my G00 sheet. And so I can OK this, and I can OK this. Then I've got my general sheet right there. It defaults to using whatever your search criteria is as the name. I would probably change this, general using star or something like that. So that way I know what that's for. Now I can grab all these guys over here, all these individual selections, and I can add all of them over to my PDF print set, get them ready for printing. I want to take my general sheet and put it at the very top. Then I want my existing sheets, and then I want my new sheets. So I can actually sort these in the order that I'd like. This is also now incredibly reusable because from project to project, my sheet numbering schemas are the same. My general, naming conventions are probably the same. AE, architecture, just general, maybe your T sheets or whatever if you have title sheets or whatever. But you probably have a typical general format that you use within your company. And by using wildcards, now you're not over here managing individual sheets on a project-by-project basis. You can set this up so it can read pretty much any project. And you can put every single filter or sort order wildcard search in here you want. I can put my structural sheets in. If you're a multidiscipline firm, I could also put my mechanical, electrical, plumbing sheets, fire protection sheets, all in the order that I want them. And it'll only print, obviously, the sheets that it can find. So if I'm in an architectural file and there's no structural sheets, then what it will do is it will automatically not print the structural sheets it doesn't have. It'll just skip over that because it can't find any. But it will print the general sheets and the architectural existing and the architectural new and all that jazz. That should be fine. Okay, so that's all set up. Now let's talk about a couple of other wildcard searches you may want to use. And I'm again going to focus on my sheets down here. Maybe you want to only print sheets that include the latest revision. So if I go here to add, I'm going to add another one for my sheets, grab all of my sheets. I'm going to call this revision latest, like this. And maybe I put that in parentheses so that I can keep, again, a consistent naming convention. I'm searching for sheets, but this time I want to include only those sheets that contains the highest revision that's been defined. And let me test this out. Now in Revit, there's the ability to issue a revision. Okay, I can actually check the issued option in the revision manager. Any sheets that contain latest issued revisions, they will be printed if I use this one. But this one here is highest revision defined. I may not have issued it yet, which is why I'm printing it right now. So I may just want the highest revision defined. So if I test this, this will only give me sheets that have revision 4, which is my highest revision associated to it. Okay, I can click OK on this, OK on this. That saves for me revision latest. So now I can create myself a latest revision print set, just drag this over here to my PDF print set or drag it over to my plotter, exporter, printer for a test print, internal, half-size print set, whatever. I could use this latest revision, and it's already been defined. So I don't have to go over here and know what my sheets are by manually managing my list internally and go, oh, I want the A100 and A101 and the general sheet, but I want to skip all these enlarged plans because maybe those haven't had revision stuff applied to them yet. This way, if there's a revision on the sheet, whether there's a view there or you've manually assigned it, it will be a part of the print set. You saw it with the test. Again, if I open this up and test it, it's only grabbing sheets that include my latest revision. But what about if I wanted a certain revision, like revision 1 and 2? Well, let me add another one here. This might be a bit more custom. Maybe you do this on the fly when you're making a print set for, project X or whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and again include all revisions. This is going to be, or all sheets rather. I'm going to use revision 1 and 2 as this particular process goes. I'm going to only, again, searching for sheets, only include those sheets that contain certain revision information, and I'm going to skip the highest issued and defined, and instead just go down here and go 1 and 2. Okay, you can also do 1 through 3 if you want to, and you can go comma 7 or whatever you want, right? You can include any combination of these that you would like, but what I'm going to do is do 1 and 2, like that. And when I test this, I should only be getting sheets that include revision 1 and 2. Now, it will include obviously 3 and 4 here, but I'm not going to get those that are exclusively 3s or exclusively 4s and don't have a 1 or a 2 on them. Some of these sheets have multiple revisions, but they at least have 2 or 1. In this case, the general sheet's got all 4. So it's going to be included automatically. So you can now create these print sets, again, on the fly, very quickly, and very, very easily. All right. And you can just drop them over here. Now, by the way, the same thing holds true for views. So if I go back over here to my 3D list, I've got something like my Navisworks exports here based on the name. So Navis export asterisk. You can see I've got a bunch of Navis export views named over here. I'm using that. If I test it out, I get all my Navis export views. Similarly here, if I cancel out of that one, I've got Navis export views using a view filter right here. This one also should technically give me, yep, so there's my Navis export views. And if they have the proper settings on them as far as the view type goes, it should give it me in the list as well. So all that can work. Now in this case, revisions don't make as much sense for views, but you do have some other filtering capabilities. If I go back in here to my all 3D list, you can see I've got asterisk at the top. I use this a lot, just basic asterisk. And then I go through and I start filtering out what view type I want, what view disciplines I want, and I can use some other filtering options if need be, but this is my intended method for working with my wildcard searches here. Again, just generally wildcard up here at the top as a whole. You can, by the way, do case-sensitive searching, and that sometimes is important for me. For example, if I go here to my all 3D, let me just replace this one here and put star CAD star. And if I tell it that I want to look for all views, all view types, for example, and this name here is irrelevant now. If I test this out, this is going to find everything in my project that includes CAD in it. Now, oddly enough, it finds my default 3D view right here because my email address, part of my username in Revit, includes cadtechnologycenter.com, and CAD is a part of that. So there's my CAD filter right there. Now, maybe that's kind of silly because I really wouldn't want to find that view. I only really want my export CAD type views. So if I go up here and check case-sensitive search and rerun that test, now it filters that one out because it's not capital CAD, it's lowercase, it's a part of an email address, and as long as my naming conventions are consistent, I can get my 3D views and my floor plans, my RCPs, all able to export in one process. And I can tell us all to go to DWGs or to go to Navisworks files or whatever I really want. So up to you guys. Usually, though, when I'm doing views in Revit, I'm being very specific and telling it I want exclusively 3D views. When I test this out, I now only have my site export that I use for exchanging with my civil engineers, and I'd probably dump this into my DWG exports with whatever settings I need. So that when I create my print sets and I'm giving updates to contractors, I may also be giving updates to my civil 3D team, to my civil engineering team. So this way I can do all of that all at once. So these wildcard searches, super powerful. Highly recommend you take a solid look at them, leverage them in your system, try to figure out how you can create your print sets more intelligently, your data exports more intelligently, and just drop these wildcard searches over here so your process can be incredibly repeatable and end users don't have to go through and manually do individual views and sheets and create that over here. It's already pre-configured. Once you've got this pre-configured here, you can also save your plotter exporter settings, and that way you can open them up all over the place. Now, one more thing here about the wildcard searches. This isn't saved with your normal plotter exporter settings. This actually is its own file, so I can use this if I create brand new settings right now, just completely start from scratch. It wipes all my settings out over here. That's okay because all my wildcard searches are retained. Those aren't a part of my main plotter exporter settings. These settings are actually stored wherever you'd like. By default, if you go into options, they're stored in C program data, right here, wildcard database, C program data, CTC, plotter exporter, and there's your wildcard search library with a WSL extension on it. You can put this on your network if you'd like. You can go browse this out, throw it on your network, toss it out there, and then have every user in your office point to the same wildcard search library, so every time they open up plotter exporter, they're going to have whatever the main searches are you want them to be able to have consistently on every single computer. All right? So definitely move that someplace that's centralized for your office. And then define your wildcard searches out there. Probably you're going to want to protect the rights of that if you're a BIM manager, so people can't accidentally go through and modify that wildcard search library if you don't want them to. Probably want to create some backups of it in case you do something you didn't expect to and you're getting results you weren't wanting. So it's just a simple file that you can back up. It's just a text file effectively, but it's a WSL extension on it so that this plotter exporter tool can read it.